Okay, so here's Bill's truck. Front end's all together, bolted on. Hood's all bolted on. Everything's together the way it should be for the most part. Here's the motor. Hard to see without the other side open. Maybe I'll get a light for you. So here's what you got so far. Carburetor's all on, everything's hooked up. It's got a brand new wiring harness through the whole thing. The radiator I got from you it wasn't for this truck. It fit the newer style truck. So I ordered a brand new radiator. It's aluminum. It's a 3-row, so this thing should never run hot, ever. 12 volt, I did a 12 volt conversion. I put an alternator on it, so it'll run the normal 12 volts. New headlight bulbs and all that stuff, so it'll run it has the 12 volt bulbs and everything so you can see at night, basically. That's about that. I got the headlight buckets all on, and the parking lights on the top I wired up to be turn signals. Living on 13, I thought you really probably should have turn signals, so I don't have another ring for the outside of this headlight bucket over here. We're missing the trim ring like that one. But that's a looks kind of thing. I've got everything working. So here's this side of the motor. Not much to talk about really over here. I put a new valve cover gasket in it because the gasket had chunks of it missing. New plug wires, all that stuff, all the wires new. All the gas line is new. One of the brake lines had blowed out on me too, so I replaced one of the brake lines. I think it was because there was no fluid in it. And it just, the condensation sat in the low spot on that line. So, I put a new mirror on it and stuff. I wanted to make sure it was drivable for you, so if you did want to drive it somewhere, it was going to be set to go. Right now I don't have the box. We got to talk about that. Figure out what exactly you want to do. I know you don't really care for the looks of that military box. But anyhow, I got the tail lights on it, just sitting there. I got them all hooked up to make sure everything works. There's one over there, one over here. On the inside, I know you said the interior's fine. It don't need anything done. But so far, what we got is the floor pans. I got you some floor pans and got them in there. I put a boot on the shifter. Boy, it's really hard to see in here. I had to make a new battery box cover and make that different so that you could put a 12 volt battery in there. So I made a door. I wanted to paint that and stuff yet. The shifter, trying to find the shift knob is next to impossible. So I made you one out of a old glass doorknob that came out of my Grandpa Mortson's house in Birch Run there. The dash, I had to pretty much pull the whole dash apart to rewire everything. So while I had the whole dash, I went ahead and pulled the whole dash out, and I just gave it a quick coat of spray paint because it was all rusty, and driving the truck with the rusty dash would just be kind of bad. So the gauges are all hooked up, everything except for the amp meter. I didn't really trust the old amp meter in here. I didn't want to catch it on fire on you or anything, so that one's not hooked up. The gas gauge is hooked up with a voltage reducer and everything, so that's working. Every switch, the ignition switch, the headlight switch, I even put a blinker switch in it for you. Every switch, every single thing I put in it is all new, so that you hopefully don't have any electrical issues at all with it. I don't want you to have any problems. I just want to see you be able to get in it and go. So the turn signals, we'll kick the key on. The end of the knob, the end of the blinker switch has a indicator light in it, so when you turn it on, the end of the knob actually lights up, and I'm sure you probably remember these things. They've been there during your day, I know that. You've probably had a couple of these around in your lifetime. So anyhow, I got you one of those, and I've got that all hooked up, so this is what you got for... I wired your parking lights to be the turn signals so that people would know what way you're heading. And the back one. So all of that stuff is all hooked up and done. The transmission is fixed. The transmission issue is fixed. I got the shifter all fixed on it and everything. That was an accomplishment in itself. This thing hasn't been very easy to find parts for. I thought it was going to be a lot easier to get parts for than what it is, but it's been a good challenge. It's been fun to work on because nothing's easy. I've had to do some fabricating and making things to work, like the back pin for the hood pivot. That I had to just make one because I couldn't find one anywhere. It's hard to see. That piece was missing. I couldn't find it anywhere. Also, you had mentioned about the vent. I've got the vent working. The cowl vent works off of a lever on the inside on the bottom. And I got that freed up and everything, and that's working good. But the crank out windshield with the crank on the dash is not working. The mechanism in there is stripped out. So that's something that it'll turn, and you can actually push the windshield out by hand. But it's not actually functioning the way it should. But there's a lot of that I know you weren't concerned about anyhow. You were just mainly concerned about getting it running and driving. The windshield wipers, I went through them for you. The passenger side vacuum wiper is bad. And it won't hold vacuum. This whole thing, header panel, was full of a mouse nest, so I cleaned all that out. But I can't get that one over there to hold vacuum the way it should. So that one I don't have hooked up. I have new hoses ran over to it. The driver's side I have hooked up. It is working. It does hold vacuum. Well, it does hold vacuum, I should say. I haven't had it working off the motor yet. I haven't fired the motor. That's coming here shortly. Shouldn't be too much longer, and I should have that going. And then I'll back it all back, and we'll put the one bed on it and see if you like that, the military bed. And if not, then we'll check our options and see what way we can go. But other than that, I figured I wanted to give you an update as to where the truck was. And this is where we're at. I've got to get a master cylinder. I tried to fix the one that was in there, and it works, but all the fluid leaks out after a couple days because the cylinder has so much rust in it that it just leaks right past the rubber seals. So I'm trying to get a master cylinder for it right now. I'm going to have to order one, I think, from that Jim Carter's that you were telling me about. I've been to their website, and actually I ordered a couple things for this truck from there. So other than that, we got a master cylinder to get working, and the brakes will be working, and the motor's just ready for me to get around to firing it, and I'll have to get some exhaust hooked up for you. Other than that, we're pretty well set. We just got to figure a box out. So, wanted to update you. I figured this was probably the best way so you could actually see what was going on and everything, and you'd know. So, I'm going to put this video through to Sherry, and maybe she can show you when you come over for Sunday dinner. Anyhow, I'll catch up with you here at some point, Bill, Sherry, Joe, all you guys. We'll see you soon.